Welcome back to the Press Box. Mark Haskell, Zach Miller here. We've been gone for a few weeks. Thanksgiving, crazy stuff going on with the winter sports season, but we are here. We are ready to chat high school sports and some NFL as well. A lot of playoff implications and a lot of big matchups last week and this coming week as well. But we're going to start with high school sports. Zach, we're here, man. We're ready.
I can't believe it's already here. We're just talking about it's already been a month since the the fall sports season ended. Mm-hmm. See, I'm already getting the sports seasons mixed up, and we're only into our second one out of 3, so it's going to be fun.
No, it's winter sports is definitely the one that my wife hates the most.
Yeah, mine too.
Because it's the latest nights, so you're not home to help get the kids to bed and all that kind of stuff. But it is what it is. That's why we do what we do. But we've got a full slate on Friday night. We've got lots and lots of games going on. Don't know where we're going yet, but just to give kind of people an idea, these are boys and girls basketball games. So, one team will be away, one team will be home. But just Friday, we've got MCI versus Belfast. We've got Bucksport versus Searsport, Oceanside versus Waterville, Winslow versus Mount View, Madomic Valley versus Gardner, Lincoln Academy at Camden Hills, and Vinyl Haven and Forest Hills. And that's just Friday night. And we've also got swimming starting Friday night. Belfast is going to be at Camden. Ice hockey, Camden Hills is going to be up at Presque Isle. We will not be covering that.
No. Well, we'll have an article up, but we won't be going to.
We will not be driving to Presque Isle for that hockey game. Sorry, Camden ice hockey fans. But and then obviously Saturday as well. We're going to have wrestling started. There's going to be wrestling meets everywhere. There's going to be one at Mount View at 9 a.m. One at Belfast. The Belfast duels at 9 a.m. Indoor track is going to start Saturday in Waterville. And a couple other basketball games as well. So we're back in full swing.
Oh yeah, there's no more. What are we going to do today to fill the paper because there's no gigs to take photos at.
That's
right. Now
it's
like there's too much stuff. We can't get to everything.
Now we are quite literally back to the grind.
It's
for
really
sure.
With this job. It's really either have nothing to do, like photo-wise and video-wise, or there's too much and I can't handle it.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's dive into it.
We get a lot of that, but yeah. So we've got lots of basketball matchups on tap, and we've been to a couple preseason games so far. Zach, what have you seen from some of the basketball preseason games that you've kind of seen so far?
I went to Oceanside at Gardner boys basketball last Thursday night. Oceanside handled Gardner. I have a buddy who works for Channel 6, and he went to Gardner, and his friend is the coach, and his coach basically said, we're going to be we've been picked last for every preseason poll for Gardner-wise, not Oceanside. Mm-hmm. And Oceanside was just destroyed them. They won like 78-41 or something like that. And, interesting, a lot of names back from last year. Cooper Werkla, Amos Anderson, Jack Lombardo, Trevor Reed, four of their starting 5. And then at their benches, I didn't know any of the kids. It was just such a big loss.
They also have Drew Daggett, and he's all of a sudden he has sprouted unbelievably. I think I was talking to one of the assistant coaches, and they said that he's 6'7", which I totally believe. And I saw Oceanside boys.
He's very skinny.
Yeah, I saw the Oceanside boys play a little bit at a preseason tournament in Lincoln Academy over the weekend. And the first thing that really surprised me looking at their starting 5 is their length. You're going to have a hard time, if Oceanside's playing a zone defense or anything for that matter. I think, trying to get anything inside the paint.
I think Jack Lombardo is the shortest person that starts for them, and he's their point guard. With Cooper Werkla, who's 6'4", Drew, who's 6'5" to 6'7", they always tend to inflate the numbers on the programs.
Right.
And then, Amos Anderson is still 6'3", 6'4" himself. So, Oceanside's got height, but then there's a pretty big drop-off in height after the starting 5 comes out.
Right.
And then you have, the role players come in, and there's not as much height.
Yeah.
And, we'll see how they do.
I saw a little bit of the Oceanside girls too. They looked really good. One player on the Oceanside girls who I saw that obviously it's a very small sample size. I saw the second half of the girls game against Spruce Mountain on Saturday. But the one player on the floor that looked like she had made a big leap was Grace Woodman.
Really?
Everything that girl threw up went in, and I don't think I saw her hit the rim one time.
Wow.
That girl can straight up shoot. Obviously she's the daughter of Jeff Woodman, and Jeff Woodman was a 3-point standout, and he helped lead Rockland to their first state basketball championship back in the early 90s. Mm-hmm. So obviously a pure shooting pedigree is in that family, and she wears the same number as Jeff did, and all that kind of stuff. So kind of some cool stuff going on there. But they've got some returning players as well. They've got Rachel Joyce, they've got Molly Gould, Hope Butler, of course, Abby Vayu. They've returned a lot of their starters from last year.
I think they only lost Gabby Simmons off
Chloe
last year.
Jones as well. Yes, Gabby, I think you're right. She was the only senior. So this is a very, I don't know if they're all seniors,
seasoned.
but a very seasoned upperclassman-laden team. and they could be a team that makes some noise as well. Haven't really seen a lot of other teams. I'm going to Camden and Belfast boys
I saw
tonight.
I saw Camden and Ellsworth playing back on Saturday.
Yes, yeah. What did you think of that?
The girls team, they were up most of the game, and then the third quarter, they just kind of went into got really cold on the offensive side of the ball. Cassie and Kaylin Kroll are back playing for them now. Cassie led all scorers with 24 points in that game. And they're a big addition. They're 2 of the starting 5. And it's also a very, very young team. I think Cassie is the only senior on that team. So it's a very young team. I'm not sure how they're going to do wise in Class A, but I think they'll be better than they were last year when they only won a couple games.
How about the boys?
And the boys it's a very different team from last year, because last year you had John Curtin, Daniel Peabody, Noah Heidorn leading that team.
They've lost a lot, yeah.
That height is gone. So now they play full court press the entire game. And it was really fun to watch. It's one of those games where you get really into it because there's so many turnovers and, on the other hand, fouls at the same time. Another player, John Runyon Barefoot, who used to play for Islesboro. I don't remember him. I was talking to somebody from Camden. I can't remember his name. He was doing the books, and he said that his family moved into the Camden area, so now he can play on varsity. Because last year he was coming over from Islesboro.
And he was a strong player 2 years ago when the Islesboro boys made a little tournament run up in Augusta, and he was easily one of Islesboro's best players.
He was in the starting 5. So I think they'll be okay this year. I don't know if the press is going to put them into trouble foul-wise and things like that, but we'll have to see.
They might not be the best team, but they'll be the best conditioned team.
That's definitely
I'm sure
true.
Jeff Hart would probably say.
That is true. Very, very true.
So we're going to have a lot of games on tap here. So be looking on Knox.VillageSoup and Waldo.VillageSoup.com over the weekend. We'll have lots of recaps, lots of photos, lots of stories from a lot of those games. So keep an eye out for all of that. We've also got some more news on the front. Is that 8-man football is now making its way to the state of Maine. It was approved preliminarily, if that's a word. Maybe it is. Who knows? Preliminarily, it was approved by the Maine Principals Association last week. It's not finalized until they have their spring meeting. But all sources say that this is a go. So that means that it's going to go away with Class E football. So that 5th class in Maine high school football is gone, and it's going to be replaced by 8-on-8 football. And obviously that's going to impact Camden Hills. They play in Class E.
Yeah, that whole developmental league Class E is going to be gone, and Camden Hills is going to have to make the decision. Well, do they go back, stay with 11-man football like they played in Class E, or do they make the switch to 8-man football and play basically the same game just with 8 guys, which is very interesting. I'm very curious to see how this all plays out. I've never seen 8-man football before. Everybody only knows the traditional 11-man football.
It's just with a fewer linemen, and I think one fewer skill player. I think is all it is.
That's interesting if you're going to have fewer linemen. I just want to see it. You want to see it in action before you can actually make a determination.
Well, obviously, the big reason that this change is happening is because numbers for high school football, nationwide, not just statewide here in Maine, but they've been on the decline, and a lot of that is parents not wanting their kids to go out for football, for fear of concussions and lots of different things. So instead of being put in a position where maybe football is going to completely go away, they're looking to figure out a way to make it so these teams, these smaller schools, can still put a product on the field, and so that a lot of these schools can still have football teams.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, and like I said, I want to see it. I think it'll be cool, and I think there's already like a bunch of states around the country that already have 8-man football, so it's already established around the country. But here in Maine, it's just something you have never seen, and frankly, most people probably never even heard of.
There's still a lot to iron out. I mean, the MPA, they're sending out surveys to all the schools, because what's interesting is that even a lot of the bigger schools that can easily have 11-on-11 football, they might be leaning toward going to 8-man football as well. So depending on how many schools say we're interested in 8-man football, we want to have our school be a part of that, we just don't know if there's going to be one division or 2 divisions. It's looking like there might be 2 divisions, and if there's a lot, if there's a ton of teams, a ton of schools that want to be part of it, I mean, maybe we're going to go back from 4 classes back to 3 classes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If enough schools, I mean, because 6, 7, 8 years ago, that's all we had. We only had 3, and then they expanded to 4, and then they brought in the experimental 5th class. So we might be, looking back to move forward, as they say, and a year or 2 from now, we might be pegged to, A, B, and C being the only classes for football.
Coming full circle there over the course of the years.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And what's interesting for Camden is they're in a really precarious position, because they basically have to make the decision: do we go to 8-man football, or do we go back to what our specified enrollment is?
Yep.
And their school enrollment puts them in Class B.
Yeah, they're almost 700 kids.
Right, and obviously for a program like Camden, really trying to get their program back up off the ground. It's really tough to just tell all these kids that only have 20 plus kids on their team, like, okay, you got to go play Mount Blue.
Yeah.
Okay, you got to go play Fairfield. You got to go play Brunswick. So now they're going to be in a position potentially, where they would have to petition down to C or D, and if they do that, it means they're playoff ineligible for 2 more years.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what they do. I think that they'll probably make the switch to 8-man football because it'll be. We don't really know what the class sizes are going to be, who's going to join, who's not going to join. I guess it's just wait and see mode until this thing is actually fully approved by the NPA.
I think the right move would be for them to go to 8-man football, just strictly based on their numbers alone. And you look at a team like Camden; they're not the only team that's considering this. I spoke to Belfast athletic director Terry Keniston, and they finished their 11-on-11 football season this past fall. They lost a top-ranked MCI pretty handily. I mean, they were only dressing just over 20 kids for that playoff game.
That's surprising.
So I mean,
Belfast.
even a program like Belfast, I mean, they've been very. I mean, they haven't had a strong record for the last few years, but they're like a very strong, traditional Class B powerhouse kind of program. They've gone down to Class C the last few years, but they're a team that who knows, maybe they're going to get into 8-man football. Terry said they're looking at all options.
Yeah, that would be very surprising because of all the success that they've had in the past.
Yeah.
State championships and everything along those lines, whereas Camden doesn't have that pedigree to go off of.
Right.
See, Belfast go to if they go to 8-man football, would that make some people unhappy in the community?
Well, there's always people unhappy in all the
Oh
communities.
yeah, well we know that already. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see.
But it's about the survival of the programs. You can't help that the times are changing, and if you don't adapt with the times, then you're going to die.
Yeah.
And you've got to kind of do what you got to do to keep football on the field, and obviously, if we're at the point where the NPA is seriously considering this, and they are because it's been pre-approved like a credit card, then obviously this is the direction that we have to go if we want to preserve football here in the state.
Yeah.
So I mean, hopefully it works out. And Mount View, they're another school. I don't know if they'll. I mean, I haven't talked to anybody up there yet, but we're going to have a story up on this sometime this week where I'm going to be talking to a lot of our local schools and just see what are your thoughts on this? What are your plans? Are you considering this? Are you saying yes? Are you saying no way? But Mount View, like they're another one of those schools. I mean, they're in D. And they've got small numbers too, so I mean they could be looking at 8-man. I don't think Oceanside and I don't think Madomic are considering
I think they're
it. At least not now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think at least for now they're going to be 11-on-11. But
maybe years down the road they may be in it too, just because of declining numbers.
Yeah, who knows? 10 years from now it might be only 8-on-8 football.
Yeah.
We just don't know. But we'll have a lot more on that in the coming weeks as this picture gets to get more focused.
Yeah. We don't really know much right now.
Really, this is kind of all the information that we have to go off at the moment. So but we'll when we get more information, you guys will have it too. So well, let's wrap up. Let's talk quickly about the NFL. Obviously, I know there were a lot of big matchups this past weekend. The Patriots beat the Vikings. As a Pats fan, tell me.
Nice to see.
Yeah. Tell me how you thought that they played against the Vikings.
I thought they played pretty well. It's nice to see them. Obviously, they played at home, and most teams don't go into Gillette Stadium in December and win against the Patriots. And the Vikings have been, kind of. I thought the Vikings would be better this year, to be honest with you, with Kirk Cousins coming in and all those acquisitions that they have, and they just have a good team, but they just haven't been there. They're like 6-5-1.
I got to admit, I thought they would have a little more trouble controlling Thielen and Diggs in the wide receiver game. But I got to tell you, New England's defense is really kind of sneaky getting better. And the one guy that always sticks out to me when I see him playing out on the field is Trey Flowers. Yeah, I mean, he's always disrupting the quarterback, and he's always run stuff in, and he's one of those guys that Belichick is just kind of turned into a star, at least as far as their defense goes. I mean, is he an elite pass rusher? No, I don't think so. But he's very, very good, and he's making that New England defense much, much better.
Well, Belichick's known for taking those little guys that you've never heard of before and turning them into stars.
No question.
Whoever heard of Trey Flowers or maybe even Rob Ninkovich before then?
That's right. It's like James Devlin.
Yeah, exactly. Or
Two
anybody.
touchdowns
Or
against the
even
Vikings.
running backs like James White.
Yep.
Yeah, he was pretty good in college, actually, so I'll give him that one.
You know, and it's funny, like, oh, okay, well, the preface, this part is not funny. Like, you know, the Kansas City Chiefs and the whole Kareem Hunt thing that's going on, and, you know, he's been released by the Kansas City Chiefs, and, you know, a horrible, you know, domestic violence thing, and, you know, it was the right move by Kansas City to do it. It was the right move for, you know, they should have done it. You know, whether you thought the NFL handled it, mishandled it, I think they did mishandle it. But the Kansas City Chiefs, they did the right thing. But you look at this and you're just like, man, isn't this working out nicely for the New England Patriots? I mean, like,
always does, right?
Yeah, it always does. I mean, thank God things are finally coming full circle for the New England Patriots, and things are going to start going well.
Gate, so.
Oh, totally, yeah, that worked out horrible. Remember that Super Bowl you guys won?
Yeah, I know.
Right after that happened.
Yeah, the revenge tour.
What a bummer.
Yeah, it was awesome.
So I'm looking at these standings. So like Kansas City, they're 10-2 right now, and these are the top 6 seeds as of Tuesday afternoon. So we've got KC at 1, New England 2, the Texans at 3. Both New England and Houston are 9-3. Pittsburgh Steelers 7-4-1. The Chargers at 9-3, and then Baltimore at 7-5. Right now, if the playoffs ended today, they would be your 6th seed. So you're looking at that, and I see New England. They're slowly going to be creeping up. I mean, I don't know who they have this week. Probably not anybody good.
No, I think
I know it's not Pittsburgh. That's the following week.
Yeah, so
that's the following week.
Yeah.
But that Pittsburgh game, I mean, Pittsburgh, they're just going to start doing Pittsburgh things. They're going to start imploding. You know, that's just what they do. Sorry, Brian Guess. You know, but that's just is what they do. And New England, they're just going to slowly make their way up to the top. You could see Kansas City. I mean, Kansas City had a tough time with Oakland yesterday. I mean, that's ridiculous.
They gave up like 30-something points to Oakland, a team that's won one game all year.
You beat them 40-33. I mean, there's never been a question that they can outscore teams. But if you're having trouble beating the Oakland Raiders, I think they're going to have a hard time holding off the New England Patriots from getting that #1 seed in the next 4 weeks.
Well, all Kansas City has to do is win. If they win out, they'll have the #1 seed. But if they don't, if they lose one more time, the Patriots will have the #1 seed because they own the tiebreaker.
I've been telling people all along that I feel like this is the Patriots, you know, division to lose. It usually is, not division, but the AFC. And they're like, you know, what about KC? And I'm just like, you know, as an Eagles fan, I'm like, you do know that Andy Reid still coaches the Chiefs, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like he coaches the hell out of the regular season. Don't get me wrong, he really does. But when it comes to, like, you know, this is pressure time, playoff time, something stupid always happens.
Yeah,
no
he likes
question.
to mismanage games.
Yeah, whether Kansas City has home field against New England or not, you can bet your bottom dollar New England's going to go in there. Tom Brady is not going to lose to Andy Reid.
No.
Okay.
Andy Reid's going to lose to Andy Reid. That's what's going to happen.
Pretty much. And then if you look over on the NFC, we've got the Rams. They're at 11-1, and we got the Saints at 10-2, and then we've got the Bears, the Cowboys, the Seahawks, and the Vikings at 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's, I mean, you look at, you know Dallas. Obviously, they've got the big matchup with Philly coming on Sunday, and that could be
whoever wins that
could be the NFC East champion. Yep. We'll see what happens there. But you know, you look at Seattle. Seattle's surging. Minnesota, they're kind of just middling right there. But I mean, you have a hard time imagining any of these teams beating the Rams or the Saints.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to get past the Rams or Saints. I'm going to pencil the Rams and the Saints in for the NFC Championship game, and I think we'll probably see another high-scoring affair between both teams. I think it'll be a great game to watch.
I'll put you on the spot.
But I actually think the Saints will beat the Rams the next time.
What's your Super Bowl prediction? Not the winner, but like the two teams in it.
Okay, so the Saints out of the NFC, I think, unless I think the Saints. I'll say the Saints if everything goes normally. Okay. But if everything goes to whack in the NFC, I'm actually going to pick the Seahawks coming out of the NFC.
Wow, really?
I know, going out on a limb. And then on the AFC side, I don't know. I obviously, as a Patriots fan, I want to see the Patriots in there, but I don't see. You know what? I don't know. I'll pick the Pats. Screw it. I'll pick the Pats.
I should never put you on the spot. I'm sorry. I didn't tell him.
I'll never go against the Pats. I'll put the Pats in there.
I think I'm probably. I mean, I would.
The Pats, if everything goes right. If everything goes wrong and it's flipped up, I'm actually going to pick the Texans.
I think it'd be so cool to see the Rams and the Chargers in the Super Bowl. The two LA teams.
Yeah.
I think that'd be super cool, and both those teams are good enough to get there. But my gut tells me that I don't think anybody's going to beat the Saints in the NFC, and the Patriots are the Patriots until somebody beats them. Like I look at this and I'm like, okay, KC's not going into New England and winning. The Texans are not going into New England and winning. The Steelers, the Chargers maybe. I mean, just because they're such an unknown. But you're right. I mean, you look at all of these teams and you're just like, which one of these teams is going in to Foxborough and winning a meaningful game? I just don't see it happening. No. So I think it's going to be the Saints Pats. That's going to be my prediction. So
it'll be interesting.
Not that that's what I'm rooting for, but.
A couple weeks to go.
Yep, that's right. Well, we're going to be back next week. We're going to have some high school basketball to talk. We're actually going to have some games in the books. Zach and I are going to be able to talk about what we saw, what we think, and we'll be getting a lot of that information out there for you. So until then, I'm Mark. This is Zach, and this has been the Press Box.